Okay, we are live with the Kory Zelickson. How are you doing today?
Great, Jesse. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, man, you too. Thank you for having me.
So Kory is the co-founder of Namaste Technologies. He's been actually a very good friend of mine as well, and we're working on some pretty cool things together right now.
Yeah.
So I just got back from Europe. I did some great networking for the company. I did the whole Stores and Bickle tour and interviews, and that whole tour is going to be released on Canada Day, so get ready for that. But today we're just going to hang out with Kory. We're going to try a couple of the vaporizers that we sell on our websites. And to start, man, what's your history with Namaste?
So everybody's probably heard the story before, but Sean and I met probably about 12 years ago, and I just graduated from engineering at the University of Manitoba here, got my first job working at a consulting firm, and my life was like the movie Office Space. It was just mundane, and I really felt, I was excited to be able to take on a new project when I met Sean, who's, an incredible visionary and entrepreneur, and somebody I've really gained and learned a lot from over the years.
Tennis, right?
Yeah, we were playing tennis, and he kicked my ass, completely, still destroys me all the time. So it was, but for a good purpose. We had the opportunity. And so I don't know if people know, but I grew up next door neighbors with Sean's wife when we were kids. So that was the connection, right? My mom said to me at the time, I just graduated college, was like, go play tennis with this guy. You'll want to go. So she convinced me to go play tennis with him, and sort of conversations started from there. And we started.
Glad you did?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, obviously I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't. So, very appreciative of Sean and everything he's done for the company and all the hard work and dedication. It's just been an amazing experience since we started our first online business together. The second I was able to, I went and quit that job and left. And quite frankly, just never looked back since, So it's been a great experience working with Sean. And we were working together for about 6-7 years at that point, when one day he comes back from California visiting his father, who's a yoga instructor there. Itai, that may have been featured in a couple of our first Vaporizer review videos, actually.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you got to check it out. He came back and he brought a vaporizer called the Buddha Vaporizer, and it's one of the most old school desktops. So similar to like a Volcano, it's a desktop vaporizer, but you have sort of like a tube and you inhale from it. It's a very simple device, but very efficient, amazing flavor. And it was the first time I tried a vaporizer. I grew up, smoking cannabis as a kid and stuff, and had the opportunity to try a vaporizer at that point. And
just using joints before when you were growing up, and bongs.
Joints, pipes, everything you did as a child or whatever. You're growing up in Winnipeg, it's kind of a different climate. But, when I tried the vaporizer, though, I was just like absolutely blown away. I could not believe for the first time that I was actually tasting the true flavor out of the material, because in my opinion, now having used a vaporizer for many years, and from people coming from smoking to using a vape, I really don't think that you can judge a strain or critique a strain or the flavors of it when you're burning, because you're burning up all the terpenes, you're burning up everything in it, and it's combusting. So the great thing with like a dry herb vaporizer, like, this is like a Davinci Iq, is that you're just heating the materials to temperatures just below combustion. So it's all natural. You're not introducing anything, and it's releasing all the material out of the plant, all the medicine, and it's healthy. It's not combusting. So, and then you really get a true sense of the flavor of the strain. So if you're, doing vape reviews or strain reviews, you wouldn't want to use anything other than a vaporizer for it. So anyways, back to the story. I guess it was the first time I tried a vape. I was just blown away. I absolutely loved it. And Sean's like, let's just, start up and start selling vapes. We already have the online business and everything, and we'll see how it goes.
Right?
Yeah, we had the cell phone repeater business going at the time. So we thought that this would be like a side business for us. We would just sell a few of them and make a few extra bucks, and, just something that we could sort of work with. And what we did is we launched the vaporizer products into the same sort of platform that we had built on an international scale. So in our other business, we really developed all these sites internationally. We hired the staff that spoke different languages. So we
translate them?
Yeah, to translate the pages. So, as we went, we'd have a site in the UK, and then we'd see a lot of traffic coming from Germany. Okay, so great. Let's bring somebody on that speaks German, have them translate the site, and then operate the German site, and so on and so on. And eventually you have, 20, 25 sites all operating, selling the same stuff, but in different countries, right? So
they all distributed from like the same location amongst like
right. So in Europe,
yeah,
in Europe, I think, I don't know if you've been, we have a distribution center in Kent there.
I love those guys.
Yeah. So, they've been our partners for a long time too. So we really were able to launch this into a really large internationally distributed platform really quickly. And so at the time, people in the vape industry were like, who the heck are these guys? Because our model is so different, right? A lot of people that are e-commerce have a single site, right? And they're selling off that site and they're selling to other countries. We had all these sites, all in different currencies, different staff speaking different languages. And a lot of companies at the time were just like, they didn't understand our model. And so they were like hesitant to supply us in the beginning. And we had to build trust with a lot of the really well-known brands over time. And we didn't anticipate it. When we first started out, like literally I was living overseas and Sean was shipping vapes out of his garage. I was doing all the customer service with people because I understand the products really well. So I was doing all the customer service and the technical support and all the returns processing. Sean was doing sales and was managing the inventory by himself. And we were just doing it like that. We started hiring staff and we moved into our first office out of his garage. We grew really quickly, hired our first, 4 or 5 people on the team. Some of them are still with us, like Justine is still with us today. Then Chelsea came later. And then we moved into another office and grew. And, even in the office, the last office that we had, initially you could walk in and there was like boxes stacked all the way to the ceiling. I think you were there at that time too. Yeah. So the whole thing really took off really quickly.
And now it's like all decked out, eh?
Yeah, it's nice now. We want to provide a good environment for the employees, obviously. And, we've brought on a lot of really amazing talent onto the team, and the company's grown so much. But really, at the end of the day, that time, we didn't anticipate that it would grow so quickly. So it was like, we were self-funding and putting everything in, and we had a couple of offers for, from some of our distributors to buy the company out. And, a friend of mine at that time, when I was living in the Bahamas, said to me, Kory, you guys should go public. Why are you going to go and sell out? This is such a hot industry in the cannabis industry. At the time, the mining industry in Canada was sort of like really down and suppressed. A lot of mining people were looking to invest in cannabis companies. So we had a unique play at the time. It was no cannabis. It was like, we were like the picks and shovels of the industry. So we weren't a cultivator, but we were vaporizers and accessories. Yeah. So we were like an ancillary product play for people. So at that time, even, cannabis wasn't really in the picture either. But it just blew up so quick on the vape side. We raised money, we went public, and it gave us the opportunity to really extend our reach globally and acquire great companies like everyone does it. All the time, and people in the UK are like, or even in the States, they're like, I bought my first bong from your site, years ago. It's one of the oldest smoke shops on the internet, or Australian vaporizers. Like we had amazing, going public allowed us opportunities to acquire great companies and expand really quickly to where we are today. And then, entering into the cannabis space now too, with CanMart and Namaste MD have just been such transformational opportunities for the company, right? Where in the past we were, a hardware company, and then we really wanted to be like a cannabis company, right? So now we're like a cannabis company, but we're evolved even further now in the technology side. So I almost don't even really consider ourselves like a cannabis company anymore. We're a technology platform and technology company, obviously with a focus on cannabis, but really in what we're developing and the platforms and everything, I think lend themselves to a bigger picture outside of just our own business model.
And Kory and I were actually patients in Namaste MD, eh?
Yeah, we are. I really wanted to be one of the first patients ever, but didn't unfortunately work out. You might have beat me to it. So
might have.
Yeah, not fair.
I like the guy with the tent waiting outside the movie theater.
Yeah.
For the new movie. So we got some Rex from Med Relief here. Want to give that a spell?
Yeah, so it's amazing. This is a product from Med Relief, and when you get product from the LPs, you get some details on the strains and how much CBD is in it, how much THC is in it. And it's really important, like part of like our nurse practitioners on that team really care about providing our patients with the best quality. Okay, so you can see, the lighting's not very good, Jesse.
I'll handle it next time, guys. I'll post the pictures.
Yeah,
Continue,
sure.
please.
So, you know, it's important that we're recommending the right strains for people, whether it's high CBD strains, hybrid strains, high THC, depending on the needs of a patient. But I got to tell you, this stuff is really, really impressive quality.
Very clear-headed, eh?
Yeah, it's really nice product.
So we have some in the Davinci Iq here.
Yep. So we have some in the Davinci Iq. Do you want me to give a little spiel?
Well, you do a lot of these like vape reviews, like kind of how I first saw Kory was on his YouTube channel, and then, you know, I became an investor with the company, and, you know,
that's what I love about Namaste, though, is that we have like a lot of people actually that have been investors that have like become very passionate about the company, and then in some capacity like come on board to like support the team or become a part of the team like you have. And it means a lot, I think, to us to see that, you know, level of commitment from you, and, you know, the way in which you came into us and evolved that way. So yeah, I mean, vape reviews were a big part of my job earlier on, and
tough
job. Yeah. Somebody had to do it. And as a result, I've tested almost every vaporizer that exists to date. And I will plan on at some point soon getting back to the reviews for sure.
I'd love to come on some of your shows and
yeah,
help you out.
Yeah, you definitely.
So, I mean, Kory's done all the vape reviews, and they've given me the tough job of doing the strain reviews. So, you know,
it's also a very tough job.
I feel your pain, buddy.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about this device?
So this is the Davinci Iq. Got to be a glare there, but it's a very small handheld portable vaporizer. This company has been a really strong contender in the industry. Davinci or Organics, as their parent company is called. They had the first portable vaporizer I ever tried, which was the Davinci Ascent. And at that time when they came out to the market, they were the only vaporizer that really had an all glass pathway and a ceramic chamber. So when you look at a lot of the vapes and some of the cheaper vapes that have come out over the past, you have like stainless steel heating chambers and plastic or metal glass pathways. So from where the vapor is generated in the chamber, and there's different types, there's convection and conduction we can get into, but really what the Davinci Ascent represented was like the purity for me. It was like the ceramic chamber and the glass stems were like purity. So they stayed true to that in this unit here. So, you know, you have a bottom loading vaporizer. So you load your material in the bottom, and it's a ceramic chamber. So you get really great pure flavor from a ceramic chamber. And then it's got this sort of zirconium pearl. Zirconium is a really high temperature ceramic that helps to sort of compress the material in the chamber. And then with this unit, it does have an app as well. So I can just turn it on by clicking it 5 times.
You can control stuff from the app.
Yeah, so like when I use it without the app, I can control like one of 3 or 4 different temperature settings. But with the app connected, you can like dial in exactly the right temperature. So it's a really great product. It's very small, sleek, and portable. It performs very well, and they're really good quality, and they have great warranty on them. So this is definitely one of the best-selling vapes that we carry on our site.
No, that's pretty sweet. So, you know, you sell bongs, you sell pipes. We got like, you guys have so many partners, eh?
Yeah. Well, you know,
what's your favorite, like, out of all your partners?
Well, we have show sponsors here, Jesse. I'm not going to go ahead and name a favorite, but, you know, this is the Genius pipe. So in terms of pipes, I could definitely tell you this is my favorite. Vaporizers, I love the Davinci Iq, PAX 3. The Mighty has always been my go-to, you know, to be honest, because...
That was the first one we used together, right?
First one we used together, and I had like the first ever Mighty that came off of their first production run. And, you know, you're talking like at least 4 years old, and it's been like beat up, spilled on drinks. It's been in rain. It's been dropped out of the car. And like, and these are the ones that like they're manufactured in Germany, and you were at their facility, and you know, the quality there is just really special. So
every single one is tested. Like that was the craziest thing. Like they had these machines that would hook up to every single Volcano, every single Mighty, and do like pull tests.
Oh, right.
And then like on the bottom of all of them, there's serial numbers. So each product you can type into their database.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was made by this person at this time. It was tested at this. It had this capacity for electricity or charge. It was nuts.
Yeah, they're you know, as a company and a brand, there's something really special too. You know, they don't do really any marketing or promotion because they genuinely, they just don't need to. Their products are that good that they speak for themselves. Any reputable vape company selling vapes has to sell the Volcano or has to sell the Mighty or the Crafty. And then, you know, the Davinci products and packs, these are all the top brands, right? So, you know, what we've been good at is developing a marketplace for brands. We're not creating the brands. We're taking really well-respected, good quality products and representing them and providing distribution on a global basis for them.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're really proud of all our partners.
I love all our partners too, man. I actually talked to most of them, I think.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, for sure.
Now we're getting to the cannabis partners, and that's a whole new ball game to explore. Lots of different opportunities.
Yeah, combining cannabis partners and vape partners is like a match made in heaven.
Well, why don't we turn that on?
Sure. So this is pretty easy. 5 clicks to turn it on. It's got an 18650 battery, so it's like interchangeable. So you can have like extra batteries charged and pop them in whenever you want. And the heat up time is about 30 seconds. It has haptic feedback, like a lot of the new vapes do also. So it'll vibrate, and if you keep it in your pocket while it's heating up or holding it.
So it'll know when.
Yeah, so you know when it heats up, it'll vibrate in your hand, which is a nice feature. And of course, like the app. So there's some vapes now, the higher end vapes like Davinci Iq has an app now. Pax has an app. Crafty has an app.
So they can all connect to your phone, and you can just.
You can check different settings. You can adjust to temperature. So like on the display here right now, I don't have as much selection, but if I connect with the app, I can really dial in like exactly what temperature. And if you're really getting into it and you're talking about different terpene profiles that vaporize at different temperatures and stuff like that, you can really get a lot of level of control for it. So we start by passing it to the left.
So, I mean, right now we're able to, you know, sell flower, oil, like that kind of stuff. In a year from now, when extracts and all that come onto the market, and edibles, and that'll be a whole new market that we can explore. Right?
It will be. And even though that, you know, when we say that oil is available through LPs now, it's not the type of oil that you can put into a vaporizer, unfortunately. So the way it's designed, because of restrictions with Health Canada, it has to be under 10% THC. So what they do is they take the cannabis extract, which might be 60, 70%, and dilute it with, say, sunflower oil, and then you put it on your tongue, you take it sublingually. But that wouldn't be suitable to put in a vape pen or something like that. So we're waiting for the Canadian market to evolve a little bit, where they open up to higher potency concentrates. And we think that that's a market that is, you know, going to be a very significant portion of the market in Canada, right? What do you think?
I think it's pretty awesome that I'm having a session with Kory Zelickson right now. You know, Kory and I are both from Winnipeg here, and it's kind of, I don't know, like I've been really enjoyed my time with the company. I've learned a lot, like from wholesale to business development to going live for the first time, like a lot of firsts for me.
Yeah, you've dabbled in so many areas of the company over the last year that you've gained a really good, you know, Jesse's like been in some pretty intense meetings, and you have such a good comprehension of the company now from like a global scale. I don't mean global like internationally, but like from a high level. You know, there's a lot of moving parts with our company, and it's very unique, but you get a really good grasp of the different deals we have, the different partnerships, different organizations. Yeah, you send a lot of emails.
No, I've enjoyed your guidance. Like you're come to you with almost every question, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help.
You know, when you moving from Florida to, you know, the west side of the country there, it's gives me some motivation to head that direction as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm super happy to move back to Canada for sure.
Yeah.
You know, especially
have access to.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You know, you could, you know, however you look at, you know, recreational rollout, it's something that's really exciting and a huge evolution for Canadians, something I'm super proud of. And, you know, however it happens in the future, the fact that, you know, we've legalized it nationally, even for medical, the fact that we've been medical for so many years, when in many other countries, like the UK, for example, don't have medical marijuana platforms, is just mind-boggling. And now to actually go and have a country our size go full recreational is just, it's really amazing. You know, it's I'm happy that Canadians believe in it, and I hope that people really appreciate the medical components of cannabis too. I don't want that to be lost in the idea of this being like, you can compare it to like, you know, alcohol as a recreational drug, but it's 10 times safer than alcohol, right? And on top of that, it's also a very powerful medicine too. So it's not even a fair comparison. So like, even though it's being regulated like a drug like alcohol, there's so much more future potential for cannabis to be a part of our society, a part of our medicine and our well-being.
Well, what's interesting is, like you say, Canada's such a big country. Like land size, we're a huge country. Our population for the amount of land we have is small. So when we start looking at, like when I was in Germany, that's one of the things we talked about, is like Germany is similar size to Ontario, for instance,
right,
in land size.
Right.
And they have 2-3 times as much people as we do.
Very
so
dense,
when we start looking at countries like that, countries like Australia, Brazil, like anyone that follows Canada, if Canada starts showing good results, and this is just my opinion, folks. This is Jesse Lavoie
off the record.
Yeah, thinking. As countries watch what, you know, Canada's results, positive or negative, they may take steps.
Well, that's what we hope, you know, because obviously Namaste's presence is very globally diversified. So countries like, you know, the UK, Australia, we have very strong footprint there. So, you know, what we're doing with our platform and whatnot in Canada, and developing the apps for like Namaste MD and digital patient acquisition, and being the first company to really look at the industry a little bit differently, you know, it's really exciting. I got to tell you, like, you know, we see so many people in the space now talking about LPs and the industry representation by cultivators, right? And, you know, it's really exciting. And what I think you'll see happen, I mentioned it on 420 earlier, is that over time, cannabis it's a commodity. It's something that's farmed, right? So we're finding ways to perfect the farming. Growers are doing that. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is it's going to get commoditized over time. There'll be ample supply. And what's going to differentiate companies down the road is, you know, international exposure, technology platforms, branding, marketing, brands, right? You know, Lowell Smokes that we did that deal with. I mean, that it speaks to other people recognizing our strength in our platform and looking at it from that perspective, and not just being concerned about, you know, how many grams are you going to produce, how many kilograms, how many square feet do you have. So I think inevitably,
who can grow it cheaper?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what it's at right now. Who's going to grow it as cheap as possible,
but as high quality as possible at the same
time.
Yeah,
sure. I mean, there's a mix. There's companies that aren't producing high quality. They just want to produce mid-range or low quality for the rec market, right? You know, so it's just matter of fact. I think that over time, companies will become more innovative from a technological perspective, or looking outside of the Canadian market. You see a lot of companies now that are looking at picking up operations internationally. So I really do think that we're ahead of the game when it comes to those aspects.
Because you have all the customers in those.
We have all the customers. We have the technology. We have advanced e-commerce platforms. We have, you know, highest level of artificial intelligence platforms that we're incorporating. We haven't even explored, like, one thing, I mean, we could go into, and I could go on for an hour, is how you could take AI and machine learning in applications with cannabis. You know, I'm just going to turn this off because it's probably burning. But talk about like AI applications in cannabis. It's insane. You know, you look at how on our site we might use AI, right, to help better provide a more dynamic experience for a patient. So if you're on our site and you're looking at bongs that are $20 and $40, we'd be crazy to go and put a $300 vaporizer beside you on the page, right? We want to present products to you that you're going to want to buy and create a better experience for you. That's with a product, right? How many variants are there with a bong? The color, right? There's different stems or whatever, different heights. Or even with a vaporizer, there's, you know, is it digital temperature control? Is it a ceramic chamber? Is it convection or conduction? You're talking about a handful of unique.
There's so many different companies.
Right, but what I'm saying is there's a handful of unique features on every vaporizer that allow us to use that data to create a better, improved user experience. Now look at cannabis, a single strain of cannabis, hundreds of cannabinoids and terpenes that are all play a factor into the performance or the effect of a cannabis strain, right? You look at, and many from Findify use this as an example, like if you're going to a doctor, right, and you're going to go and you're going to want to ask your doctor for a prescription for cannabis to treat a condition you may have, right? That doctor has a very limited amount of experience. And even if they do have a lot of experience and they've been prescribing patients for 5 years, they still have a limited scope of expertise and experience, and they're still a human brain, right? Imagine taking all the data, having a computer that never forgets anything, every aspect of that, and analyzing that in the capacity of a full profile of strains, right? It's like having a doctor on steroids. So when we get data on the strains and the impacts on patients and use machine learning applications for cannabis, I mean, it's opening up a whole level of deep research and analytics that I don't really think that anyone's taken an approach like that yet.
So, for example, because I think like I have found my strain with this Rex. So you can take data that you've collected from me, and you know, you've looked at products that I've purchased, other data from other sources, and you know, this you could match up. You could probably put this in front of me right off the hop.
Yeah, maybe you know, right now, you know, there's information available like how much CBD is in it or how much THC, right? But when we start looking at the data that's beyond CBD and THC, because as we're starting to learn with cannabis, terpenes, which people over the years have always assumed just provide the scent and the flavor of cannabis, terpenes really have an important impact on how the various cannabinoids absorb in your body. So every person has a different endocannabinoid system in their body, and their bodies interact with different cannabis strains differently. So really being able to take a full profile, not just saying, oh, okay, do you need a high CBD or a high THC, but saying you found that strain the best for your condition. So we see and identify trends or patterns with that strain's terpene profile up against other strains that might have similar terpene profiles. So it goes beyond just looking at CBD or THC content and really trying to dig in from a human level how these things are impactful on you as a patient and helping provide you with better recommendations for strains than you would ever get with an actual doctor, you know, which is pretty crazy. And, you know, one cool thing that I heard too, which I find really interesting, is that there's a possibility that, you know, because I could have 3 different strains and present them to you. And you'll go and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at them, but then you're going to smell them, right? And you might hate the smell of that one, or you might love the smell of that one, right? And there's, you know, I've heard, I'm not going to validate this or confirm it, but that the scent of a particular cannabis strain, because of the terpene profile, your body recognizes it as something that's good for your body. So maybe it is that you do really like the smell of that strain.
I love the smell of the strain.
Right? So, you know, it's maybe it's not a coincidence that there's
a story behind this. Like when I went to go tour their facility, I walked through about 6 different grow rooms in MedRelief's facility in Ontario. And then I walked into this one. It was like the 5th of the 6th. And this thing was super tall, and the smell it's just so tropical. And I was like, how much is this a gram? And they're like, $18.50.
$18 a gram, $18.50 a gram.
And I was told they have to put a limit on this. Like when I ordered this, there was a 15-gram limit because it's so popular that they want everyone to have a chance to purchase them. And I had no problem spending that much.
Yeah, I mean,
because it helps me.
Yeah, it helps you. It's amazing quality, and I think that there's always going to be a market for ultra premium strains. It's going to be like craft wines. It's, you know, except that it's not. Again, going back to the same thing. It's not craft wines. They're still a recreational alcohol, right? This is craft, but it's a medicine too, which is important.
I say so.
Yeah.
What's been your? I'm gonna ask this question, guys. What's been like your best memory from when you started with Namaste to now? Like the best. I think I know what you're gonna say.
You know what I'm gonna say?
Yeah.
Hanging out with you.
Well, of course. Let's second best then.
Okay. So the second best memory I would say was it's tough because it would be our last AGM.
100. Oh man, that was a great night.
But also the like the uplisting on the TSX when we got to go ring the bell at the TSXV.
You and Sean going.
That was, I mean, that was a very, very, like, okay, I'll break it down. The AGM was amazing because so many people flew from everywhere, not just like our management team. And, you know, when we told Peter Gowling, we're like, Peter, we're going to need more space in the boardroom because we're expecting a lot of people. He's like, guys, like, you know, these AGMs, like 15, 20 people are going to show up. And, you know, we had, you know, hundreds of people come and they were lined up all the way in this law office. They had to like bring chairs in and stuff and tables, and people flew. I mean, there was amazing people that were bringing like memorabilia to the show. Like, we have such an amazing group of shareholders, you know, and I think it's part of like how we're as a company a little bit unique. Like, we're more transparent, I think, and we do these videos and these shows, and Sean does his 420. But I think that's really what drives the level of like solidarity with our investors. And that experience there was just incredible, just to have the opportunity to meet so many people there who believed in the company. Like, I mean, there was nothing more gratifying, I think, almost in my life, with the exception of my kids, but this is still up there, you know, that really made me feel so happy about what we were doing. And, you know, we're in an industry where, you know, we're helping people, and there's been investors along the way that have done well. There's been investors that have bought at different share prices, but we have a goal and we're trying to really be unique and develop something really exciting. And, you know, regardless of that, you know, just having the ability to interact with our shareholders that way was an incredible experience. And then ringing the buzzer on the TSXV was,
I couldn't imagine that.
That was amazing. You know, it was just having the core group of our team there that was like, it was a moment. And I know for Sean too, especially, like, you know, truth be told, like one of his biggest dreams in life was to go and take a company, be the CEO of a public company and ring the bell on the exchange. And, you know, here's to, you know, hoping that soon they'll be ringing bells on bigger exchanges too.
I'd like to see that too. Yeah. So what time are we at? We're probably
Did you have more notes that we covered? You want to talk about anything else? I don't know how long it's been.
That Shatterizer deal is pretty cool.
Shatterizer? Yeah.
So obviously Shatter goes into the Shatterizer. For those people who don't know, what is Shatter?
Shatter is I'll give you the technical background. Shatter.
Yeah, read the script.
No, this is unscripted. I just know this. Shatter is a high potency cannabis concentrate. So you can extract THC and different cannabinoids from the plant using different means. So typically, the most common way is using a solvent. So when you talk about CO2 or BHO, BHO is butane hash oil. That's what it's called, and it's an extract that's made with butane. So butane extracts out the cannabinoids, and then the butane evaporates, or it's recycled back into the system, and then you're left with a really high potency concentrate. So butane is a common way of making shatter, but CO2 extraction, obviously a little bit safer than butane. It's not quite as flammable,
right?
But the way CO2 works as a gas, when you compress it, it's called supercritical. You compress it, and then you add a certain amount of temperature, it'll actually act as a solvent. And then you can lower the temperature and just evaporate it afterwards. So it's like a really amazing way, and it's become an industry leader technology for creating concentrates. But Shatter essentially is just a cannabis concentrate of very high potency, like any other concentrate. But what defines Shatter versus like butter or wax or CO2 oil is just the texture. Shatter's got a very brittle texture. Typically it cracks. You can crack it off in little pieces, and then you put it right into a pen. You can put it onto a dabbing rig. But the Shatterizer, for example, is a concentrate pen. So you take little pieces of shatter and you put it into the chamber. Then you have a coil. There's different types of coils: ceramic coils, titanium coils, dual coils, triple coils, you know, all sorts of different means of vaporizing the shatter. And the main difference is that with a vaporizer for dry herbs, your temperature required to vaporize flower is much lower. So, you know, 185 Celsius, where
that's why you see the blow torches, right?
Blow torches for concentrates, yeah, because you're vaporizing shatter, you're going up to 700-800 degrees in Fahrenheit instead. I lived in America too long. I don't know what that is in Celsius.
Come back to Canada.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So the Shatterizer is a really great quality, high performance concentrate pen, and we've been great supporters of Shatterizer since day one. And I spoke with the CEO and have been working with Matt for like over a year now, and he's kept us up to date. And again, Matt was a shareholder and an investor in Namaste.
Had a great time with him at the end.
Yeah, and so he's great. He comes out to all the functions too, and so it's a relationship from somebody that's an investor that really wants to get involved, and he found a great niche in creating a brand focused around Shatter, and they've been doing very well for themselves.
So would a good comparison be like having a beer like that would be vaping normal flower cannabis versus having a shot of 151 rum?
It depends on the particular Shatter. Yeah, I mean,
would that be?
Shatter is really high potency. I would say like it's a difference between smoking a joint or having a bowl on a vaporizer for 10 minutes or consuming that entire amount in a half a second. So it's kind of for the recreational market, it's been, in the US and in Canada before the government's gone and shut down all the dispensaries that have been open so far. It's a really popular product for the rec market. And another big difference is that a lot of concentrates, pre-filleds or the ones with Shatter in them, they really don't smell the same. So they still have an odor, but it evaporates very quickly. So they can be super, super discreet as well, which is why a lot of people, have the little pre-filled pens. They're super easy to use, not complicated. You don't need like a lot less complicated than one of these vaporizers. So there's a matter of convenience, portability, dosing very quickly, small doses. So, it's definitely a huge component of the market, I'd say.
You guys just recently opened up a second location where you can make oil. I'm still saying you guys, I guess. Us.
We.
That is that is cool to say, man. Us opened up. No, it doesn't sound right. It's not good English.
We opened up. Yeah. Well, we're planning on launching another facility across the street from CanMart called Infinite Labs. And
it's going to be name. I remember when we were thinking of.
Yeah, we thought about names. It, and that is going to be exclusively for production of oil. So for ourselves, for us to sell to the rec market, for us to sell to other LPs, and more importantly, I'd say, is to create unique products with it. It's not just a matter of selling the oil. We want to be selling the vape pens, the cartridges, any infusions. You're looking at a lot of people are trying to develop, fully dosed vaporizer systems for medical purposes. We have the deal with Infinite Labs, the needle-free injectors. So, the oil that we produce there could be used for those applications. So there's definitely a lot of applications for us to explore in that facility. So we're looking forward to construction and getting it done.
Super cool. Well, man, I've had a blast with this. We should probably fill up a Volcano bag and get out of here for the night. I'm really enjoying this pledge that's going on with Namaste. So yeah. I'm just going to make a separate pledge, and I know a couple people are going to be a little disappointed with it, but I'm going to go 1 year without junk food or alcohol. And for the record, my favorite snacks are M&Ms with peanuts inside.
Yeah, you were eating M&Ms today.
Yeah, because It starts at midnight.
Okay.
Getting it all out of my system.
I'm going to hold you to it, Jesse.
All right, bud. So just cannabis and a healthy lifestyle. So I'll be posting some stuff about that. And next week, I'm doing too much with my hands again. I apologize, everyone. Next week,
this is what I noticed moving back to Canada is all the apologies.
We're sorry for being sorry. Having Tim Henley on, who's part of our company, and we're going to talk about the future of cannabis and CBD in the UK and the surrounding countries. So
Tim's amazing. I developed a relationship with him, selling him vaporizers for a website that he was launching, and then he's very engaged with the community efforts in the UK for like legalization, and he's part of like the UK Cannabis Trades Association. So he's like one of the most knowledgeable people that I know on UK cannabis legislation and where it's going. So if you guys are interested, because obviously if you're watching this and you're investors, or if you're just watching it for fun and you want to learn about how He anticipates changes of the laws in the UK over the next few years, and how it'd be super impactful for us because we have a massive market share in the UK and a very deep and long history there too. So that's a super important market for us. And Tim's been an awesome help at bringing new CBD products in that we're working on with some other companies as well. And I guess before we go, I'd like to thank you for being you and doing such a great job and being so committed to the company and being a part of our team and just putting yourself out there in everything that you do and just being so dedicated. So I think it's been paying off, and you've gained a lot of traction with your projects that you're working on. So I'm looking forward to a lot more, Jesse.
Absolutely, buddy. We're just getting started here.
Awesome, buddy.
So we got this to fill up. We're going to get out of here, guys. So I'm going to start this off and stop the broadcast because we worked all day and it's time for us to relax before we shut it down for the night. So thanks for coming on, bud.
This is the Volcano XL bag, by the way. You can order it as an accessory for the Volcano. If you've not seen a Volcano or used one, it's definitely something special and unique, as you can see. But as with all Storz & Bickel products, absolute pure quality and performance. This one is actually a medical device, and we have a license to sell it as a medical device. So this is something that you would see, you should see more in hospitals and other facilities. But yeah, thanks.
That's one of the first times I'm seeing this fully. We can't cut it off now. We obviously have to show them how it works. Don't do that. Would you like to go
okay,
first?
Jesse.
It's been quite the ride, man.
Cheers.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week with Tim Henley. And Canada Day, we're going to be releasing the tour of the Storz & Bickel factory. That was amazing. Coming up later in the summer, I'm going to be doing a tour of Davinci setup. And next week, I head to California for a week to, show you what Canada might look like with legalization. But some people may say otherwise because I hear it's pretty crazy down there.
Yeah, it is. It's evolved.
So either way, you'll be seeing that. So see you next week with Tim Henley at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And thanks for coming on, bud.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right.
Cheers.